going to talk about a location that I am a huge fan of, El Paredon, Guatemala. So after tearing myself away from Lake Atitlan, where I was in the previous 2 episodes, I boarded a shuttle that took me a few hours south to the Pacific coast and the town of El Paredon. I chose this place for a location spotlight because it's drawn me back several times, which is pretty rare, and it's because there's just something special about this town. At a 3-hour drive from Guatemala City, it's just close enough to be accessible, yet far enough away to feel secluded. Up until recently, El Paredon was a quiet little fishing village. While it's still relatively quiet and little, it's increasingly gotten a reputation for surfing. However, these beach breaks don't have a reputation for being easy, and it's here that you can find some of the top surfers in Guatemala. You'll also find beautiful black sand beaches, gorgeous sunsets, and a handful of hostels and surf resorts. One of the hostels I've visited several times is the Driftwood Surfer. This place has a lot going for it. Great buffet dinners, volleyball every evening, a swim-up bar, billiards, ping pong, social events like trivia and karaoke, and most importantly, a pig named Potato. The Driftwood was started by 3 partners, all from different countries, who had a vision for a beachfront hostel where people could surf, relax, eat well, and drink well. I've gotten to know the owners a bit during my stays, and they agreed to sit down and talk for a few minutes about the history of the Driftwood and El Paredon in general.
I came to Guatemala almost 8 years ago. I came down here broke with a brand new credit card and started a business on it. I heard the same story over and over again. Oh yeah, we're on our way through, we weren't even sure if we were going to go to Guatemala because there's no beaches. A lot of people take flights straight from Cancun down to Nicaragua. That was the same story I heard every single day going through Antigua. And so then finally someone comes in, and I heard about a beach. Came down, and I showed up in El Paredon 7 years ago, and I arrived and I was like, why is this not a tourist spot? So from then on I was like, this needs to be the next tourist spot. This would change tourism in Guatemala. Like I spent forever, quite expensive property, I didn't realize that at the time. It took me 3.5 years and having 2 more partners before I finally acquired a property.
El Paredon about 4 years ago. My business partner, Brant, had been talking about it for a while. He said, how about doing this together? And introduced me to El Paredon. Okay. So this building that we're sat in now was already here. It was a summer house for an older lady. And she unfortunately got skin cancer and had to sell her holiday home. She was in the city. And she gave all of our hard-earned money that we paid for the property to a mega church. Originally we were going to call it the dog house. Okay. I like the marketing behind it, the dinners in the dog, the hairs in the dog, lots of logos, t-shirts. But then when we translated it into Spanish and spoke to our Guatemalan friends, it sounded more like a brothel type thing, and it didn't translate perfectly well. With doing the Google Analytics, that we wanted to have surfer in the name, and then I think I stepped on some driftwood, and it all came together in a kind of eureka. I love the people, not just the local people, the Guatemalan people, but the kind of foreign people, international people that come to a place like Guatemala because it's scary and it's dangerous, or it's not at all. But it brings people who are more thinking outside the box and more adventurous. It tends to be a little bit older. It's not your first backpacking trip, and so it makes it more interesting, it makes it more fun, it's easier to relate to people, especially as I'm getting older. Yeah. So Guatemala is not famous for its foods, or compared to some of its neighbours like Mexico and so on, but it's got fantastic topography with the volcanoes, the beaches, the lakes. Very, very culturally diverse. 26 different languages. It's just a wonderful country.
I mean, Guatemala, I love the fact, man, honestly, it's not corporate. It's not US. You want to know what really makes Guatemala special? Freedom. Here, you can do whatever you want and just do it. There's economic freedom to start a business and do things like this. I just came down, bought this property, and started building.
Some things have happened since we started doing the hostel. We've had to change the food a lot more for the millennials, more healthy food, more healthy lifestyle is happening with backpackers. So somebody was volunteering here, wanted to do yoga classes. We don't take any money from the yoga classes, we just have an instructor tell them that they run their own business within us. It just gives, I guess, something extra to do, something different to do. There's always going to be improvements, always going to be new art, always going to be an update on the menu.
The locals, they've always been, they were hesitant when we first came in. I think they were scared, but now I think they really love the fact man. They built back in the early 1980s. This is actually a tiny little fishing village. And now it's a little bit bigger fishing village. Now you've got a lot more people looking for work, and the tourism has brought in a lot more jobs and opportunity for everyone in the community. Down here on the beach, where you're going to find some of the best surfers in the world here. Yeah, they've never made it out. No one's ever seen them. We've got one guy who won an international tournament 3 years ago. He'll spin 360 airborne flips out here, and he started when he was 6 years old. He still lives here, and you'll still see him out there spinning 360 airboards and landing them and doing another one right at the same time.
Well, if we did a driftwood in Antigua, for example, it's very difficult to move this beach concept into a town and have those, fresh fish every day and so on. The idea of having change doesn't always work in the backpacking world. Go to one concept, they'll go to another one the next time. Like, nobody has a trend on their ex-girlfriends, they're all mad, and they're all very different. You go from one, you're not looking for exactly the same next time.
Sure.
So you go to a party hostel, the next time you want to go to a more chilled out hostel.
Right. Place getting overdeveloped over the next 10, 15 years, something like
I've been saying that for 10 years. There's two things holding it back. Number one would be the fact that corporations are hesitant to come into Guatemala.
Okay.
Unlike Mexico and the Yucatan Peninsula, which is completely overdeveloped. And I don't see the corporations coming in. They're not. I think it's going to stay small, because it's all small, independent people who don't work for anyone. They work for themselves, and that's what makes Guatemala what it is.
So, needless to say, if you're in Guatemala, make sure to get to El Paredon. I truly believe it has something for everyone, whether you're a surfer, a yogi, a partier, or a bookworm. Alright, I think that's all I can say without sounding like I'm being paid. The rest you'll have to see for yourself. Get here before everyone else does. That's all for Guatemala. Next week I'll be in Iceland with my lovely friend Jamie, who's also helping out with a future episode on how to stay safe while backpacking. Subscribe if you want to get notified of future videos, or for more daily updates follow @Backpacking30s on Instagram. I'm Joe Horniman, and this is Backpacking in Your 30s, coming to you from El Paredon, Guatemala. I'll see you around the world.